My kids, my older three at that time, I think were about, I don't know, 7, 8, 9. They were the best runners because we would line up the whole ward, and we can cover it. To this day, we can cover that ward in 1.3, an hour and a half, and we cover 700 houses, and they're really good. And so anyway, and then we get their friends, and I cover the whole city in like 7.1 hours. So, and anyway, but so I was on, it's the night before the election, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do about this? And my husband's like, let's have a kids parade. Well, my kids were, in 5 different classes, at the grade school. I was like, let's just call them up. And like, everybody call up 5 friends. So they all came over, and I had, my baby was 18 months old. I put him in the stroller, and then I had my signs over that, and we just did a kids parade around my ward, which took quite a long time. And I got a lot of great votes off that. They're like, oh my God, a mother with 5 kids, and she's out here with like 35 kids going up and down. And I won. And it was, I was like shocked. I called my mother, and she's like, you did what? Oh my God, this is so wonderful. And then my sisters were very excited. So my first budget, when I first got out of council, I was the chair of finance. I had no idea of ever doing a budget, but I was the chair. I'm supposed to be doing this whole budget. It's a $10 million budget, and I'm going, holy cow. I had got my master's degree, and Mayor Mark Funkhauser at that time was the auditor for Kansas City, Missouri, and he was my teacher for finance at UMKC. And so I called him up, and I said, Mark, I need a favor. I said, I just became a city councilwoman, and I am the chair of finance. I have no idea what I'm doing in regards to this budget. And he's like, oh, you will. So I actually emailed it to him, and then he did so many great notes for me. God bless him to this day, because he made me look so good. I went into that first finance meeting, and I was like, okay, well, it looks like we have this many tips and this much money here, and blah, 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 and we could be saving this. And they were like, wow. I was like, well, I do have my master's in public administration. I could be a city planner, but I just choose to work at St. Luke's Hospital. Okay. So it was a lot of fun, and but it was a definitely learning curve. But to put yourself out there was just something that some people just never think about. And I'm a little bit more unusual. The fact that I'm Hispanic, I'm female, and I'm conservative, and I'm Republican, because I've been trying to find more of me, and there's really not. In fact, I have a meeting tomorrow that I found conservative Hispanic men, and I'm like, there's got to be more of us out there. There really has to be. I mean, the Hispanic population is increasing, and but it's very tough because I don't know if it's the education or just them not knowing that our values, our family values, are more closely related to the Republican side than it is the Democrat side. And then my story goes on, and my council really supported me, and they wanted me to run for mayor. And there was maybe 1 or 2 that were like, supporting the former mayor, but we had gone through a lot of bad publicity in the newspaper with our council, a lot of bickering, a lot of fighting, unprofessionalism. And so I said, okay, I'll run, and I ran, and I can honestly say I spent more money. I think I spent $800 on that one. But what I did was I never placed a sign in anyone's yard. I would call 20 people that I knew, and I would leave my signs outside because I was still working, and my husband was busy with all the kids. So I would leave the signs outside the garage, and every morning I would put them out there after I called the 20 people the night before. I said, hey, listen, if you like to put a sign in your yard and support me, I would ask you for your vote. Please come by my house, pick up the sign. And if you know your neighbor and your neighbor's supportive, pick one up for them. Every night, all those signs were gone. I did that every night. I had over 350 signs out before I even knew it, and I never placed one in there. And I was like, wow. So I was like, man, I better start going door to door. Well, I did a debate with the mayor at that time at Johnson County Community College. And he must have thought he did wonderful because he had made copies of it and delivered it to every door in Roeland Park. And I was like, wow, thank you. So I was like, this is just a dream come true. But anyway, so that helped out. And I honestly had I didn't know if I was going to win or not. And, you know, I was like, well, it'd be great if I won. But, hey, let's all go meet at Satara's and drink. And we'll find out the results. Because I was like, my kids will be there, everything like that. We'll all hang out and, you know, call a few people. And so we all went over there. And my husband was picking up signs when we found out that I had won. And my mom was there and my sisters. And they were just so excited. They were just like, oh, my gosh, my sister's there. You know, they all still live in Wyandotte County. Johnson County's too far for them. So, anyway, it's very humbling that our residents, they know my story, and they know that my qualifications, and they know that anytime they can call me. Everyone has my cell phone number. I will pick up that phone day or night, and they do call me day or night. And they know that if I say I don't know the answer, but I'll find it out. You know, I'll get it back with you. And some of them are like, I can't even believe you emailed me back. And I'm like, why wouldn't I? Or, you know, if I see that they're really mad on an email, I'll just pick up the phone. I'll email them and say, can you give me your phone number? And then they'll be like, why? And I'm like, because I'd like to talk to you about this on the phone. And but it is so important. I try and tell the high school kids this. I try and tell, I do a lot of speaking engagements, it seems, lately. But I want them to know how important it is to just know who your mayor is, know who your city council person is. Did you know that there's precincts? Do you know that you could actually be a precinct representative? Because they have so much power. Precincts decide, you know, many different things. You know, attorney generals, they decide. One day they could decide the governor. I mean, so it's so important. And I never knew when I was growing up. I always knew my mayor was Mayor Roeland. Mayor Roeland's father was our mayor, and that's because his Joe, the current mayor's sister, was in my grade, and so we all had to go politicking. I didn't know what that was. I was just like, hey, we're going to eat pizza tonight, and we're going to be past 18th Street. So that was a big deal, because anyone who lived over 18th Street was pretty rich. I lived at 10th, so they had insurance. But it was just really neat. And so what I'm trying to do, and I speak to the young Republicans at UMKC, and I try and go to at least 3 or 4 events a year with them and try and get them engaged.